Hi everyone, Aaron here for Zollotech, and today Apple released iOS 13.2 Developer Beta 4. This is out for developers and soon to public beta testers if it's not out by the time you're watching this video. It came in at 160.6 megabytes on my iPhone 11 Pro Max. The size will actually vary a little bit depending on which device and which version you're actually on. If you're coming from, say, Beta 2 to Beta 4, it could be a few gigabytes in size. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the build number. The build is 17B5084A, and that A, just like last time, means we're very close to a final release. And in fact, I would expect the final to be out before the end of the month, and it looks like we may get a Mac Pro very soon, since Apple employees are being trained in how to service that. So that's a really good sign. I don't know if we're going to see an Apple event this month, but I do think we'll see the Mac Pro release. Now, other than the size and about, I did notice that there was a modem update. So that modem update should help connectivity. And I'm happy to report that as soon as I updated my phone, my 11 Pro Max, when I left Wi-Fi and went on to cellular, it immediately worked better. I noticed this right away. Normally I have to wait or even put it in airplane mode and then take it out of airplane mode, turn off Wi-Fi just to get the cellular data to work. It worked flawlessly today. So in just the hour or so that I've used it, or a couple hours, it worked fine. I was listening to a podcast and it switched over without a problem whatsoever. So that's a really good sign. Normally I can't use YouTube apps, maybe YouTube or Creator Studio, and this time it worked just fine. So that part looks like it's fixed. Now, this time around, there's no notes about any issues or bugs or anything like that. So there's probably a bunch of bug fixes that we can't see. And I can confirm that that cellular issue seems to be fixed on my phone, as well as a couple other things. Now, there were some privacy policy updates as well that are in the background that are more for like an iPod Touch, for example. But most of those things you're not going to pay attention to. Now, I have a bunch of bugs that people were asking about online and things that I thought I'd go through and answer if they're fixed. And some people are saying that CallKit extensions are now working again. So if you've got an app that uses CallKit through the phone app or the phone APIs, those seem to be working again now. And those are only really relevant if you're using specific apps. However, a lot of people were saying that tabs are reloading every time they go into Safari. And so I had this tab open, I had Woot open, and this was actually what was on there last time. Let's see if we go to a wallpaper I had open. That was there yesterday. I've got some other wallpapers I was looking at. That one did reload. So I don't know how far back it goes in memory. See, that one didn't reload. So it looks like it's working okay on the 11 Pro Max. I don't know about on older devices, for example. We can check on the 8 Plus that I have here. This is an 8 Plus. So I had Apple open. There's Apple Security Updates website. So it did refresh that page, and sometimes it's just going to refresh. I don't know if it's a timeout setting that's there or if it's just memory they want to free up or not. Now, other people were saying that when they go into Photos, if you go into Photos and you try to hide a photo, for example. So let me go back to my photos. We'll go to this photo I took. If we long press or share it, depending on which menu we're in. So if we share this, we go down to hide. We can hit hide. This was crashing photos for some people. For me, it seems to be working fine this time around. Now, I don't know if it's working for everyone, but for me, it's okay. Now, RAM management in this particular update seems to be pretty good. I actually tried opening a bunch of different apps, and then I'd go back into YouTube and see if it reloaded. And this time, it didn't reload. So that one is what reloads most of the time. So I tried it about 3 times. It seems like RAM management is working much better this time around. Apps are not loading as much. Music didn't just reload there. And it usually, like I have said in previous videos, it's usually the YouTube apps that seem to be reloading. Let's check weather. It didn't reload, it just refreshed. So it looks like this could be pretty good. No reloading there, just checking of a status. Let's check the App Store. That one reloaded. So it just depends on what it's doing. Certain apps are going to require a refresh either way. Now with the cameras on iOS, the previous version, we had the addition of frame rates added, and we can switch between these frame rates. So if I tap on the 60, you'll see it switches to 24, then 30, then back to 60, and we can change the resolution. Apple needs to make these more prominent buttons, but right now you can only do that on the 11, 11 Pro, and 11 Pro Max. Now there is no reason they can't do that on the older phones. They've even made the icon there that's showing you the frame rate but you just can't tap on them. They don't do anything. And Apple really needs to fix this. There is no limitation as to why they couldn't do it. So I hope they update this before the final version comes out. There's no reason to penalize someone for changing frame rates and going back into the settings. So hopefully we see that. Now, battery overall from the previous beta has actually been pretty good. So if we take a look at battery, this is a newer device, so battery health is at 100%, and I've been using this mainly, but I've also had some days where I was testing out some other phones as well. But if you take a look here, I had 2 hours and 58 minutes of screen on time and 2 hours and 26 minutes of screen off time. And you may not think that's a lot, but I only used a quarter of my battery, so it's actually really, really good. So that means I'd get about 8 or even more hours of screen on time with this particular device. So that's really good. And I know some people are getting over 11 hours of screen on time with their phone. So that's pretty amazing. Now, speed on my latest device actually feels super smooth. In fact, I'm seeing that on forums and everything else. People are reporting that this is a much smoother version. And also, I forgot to mention, Mail is working really well. And I haven't noticed any issues with Beta 3, but then people are saying that the issues they had with Beta 3 are fixed in Beta 4. So that shouldn't be an issue. Now, on a little bit older phone, again, I'm having the same smooth experience. Apps are loading nice and fast, and the initial load is always going to stutter a little bit on all of these apps, but overall, it's working pretty quickly. Everything's nice and fast to scroll through, and no problems there. And then on the oldest device that I have here, the iPad Air 2, again, I actually used this for just a minute, and it looks like it's working okay. So if I go to notifications, for example, you'll see scrolling is pretty smooth considering the age of the device. Hopefully they've fixed a lot of issues with the iPad, because my iPad Pro that I use normally is having a lot of bugs, and hopefully those are fixed in general once this releases to the public. Now, as far as benchmarks are concerned, let's go ahead and take a look at that. Now, we're using Geekbench 5, and the numbers are going to be a little bit lower, but you'll see for single core, I scored 1,333, which is kind of interesting. I've scored this previously multiple times, and then multi-core 3,478. Let's take a look at the history. You'll see previously where I said I scored 1333, and for the multi-core, it's basically the same. I would not expect any slowdowns between any of these devices, but let's take a look at the benchmarks on all of them just so you can get an idea. On the left, we have the iPad Air 2. In the middle, we have the iPhone 8 Plus, and on the right, we have the iPhone 11 Pro Max. That's it for iOS 13.2 Beta 4. If you'd like to get your hands on this wallpaper, of course, I'll link it in the description as I always do. And if you found anything else, I'd love to hear what you have to say in the comments below. If you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe. And if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. As always, thanks for watching. This is Aaron. I'll see you next time.